Penguin Random House Audio presents The Perfect Sister, a novel by Stephanie DeCarolis. Read for you by Kristen Dimercurio, Sophie Amoss, Jesse Vilinsky, Andrew Eiden, Kaleo Griffith, Hilary Huber, and Dan John Miller. For my girls, never forget how lucky you are to have a sister. You'll always have each other. And for Allie, you'll always be my sister by choice. A sister can be seen as someone who is both ourselves and very much not ourselves. A special kind of double. Toni Morrison. Prologue. They say that in the instant before you die, your entire life flashes before your eyes. But that's nothing more than a myth, or at least it was for me. I didn't see a film reel of my life unspooling out before me. Rather, my mind unearthed one single, seemingly inconsequential memory. A long-forgotten moment, plucked like a diamond from beneath the fallen sands of time. Suddenly I was back there. I could feel my sister's skin, warm against my own, see the flashlight bobbing in her hand. Our threadbare comforter, the filling lumped, the cotton pilling, was tucked behind our heads, propped upon our wobbly knees that were exposed in the nightgowns that had grown too short that summer. She read to me, her voice magnetic as her finger scanned the pages, and I snuggled in so close to her that I could feel her breath, sticky on my cheek. "Girls," Mom called from her bedroom. "Come in here, please." Maddie tossed her edge of the comforter aside, a rush of cool air entering the snug cocoon we'd built. "Coming! How do I look?" Mom asked as we filed into her room and climbed atop her bed. She glanced back over her shoulder, checking her reflection in her bedroom mirror. She was so beautiful. Her hair set in long golden curls, her lips stained a deep velvet red. "You look incredible, Mama," Maddie gushed. "The dress isn't too much? What do you think, Alex?" At 6 years old, I wasn't sure what made a dress too much. All I knew was that my mother looked like the height of glamour to me, the sequins dotting her gold dress catching the warm light from the lamp on her vanity, making it appear as if she was glowing. "Your mother is larger than life," Dad used to say. And in that moment, I finally understood what he'd meant. "I think it's perfect." Mom reached into the little wooden drawer of her vanity and produced 2 tiny chocolate bars, pressing one into each of our palms with a wink. "It'll be our little secret." The wrappers were printed with the logo of the restaurant she was working at that month. I'd never been there, but I knew it was a fancy place on the other side of town. The kind of place where the bill came in a leather fold and meals were finished off with chocolate mints, one of which was now softening beneath my curled fingers. The owner of the restaurant occasionally let Mom take home leftovers after her shifts, and Maddie and I would spread Mom's good Christmas tablecloth over our kitchen table and pretend we were at a restaurant. Maddie was always the server, taking orders from Mom and me and writing them down in a notebook with a business-like seriousness. Those were our favorite nights. But even back then, I could tell that Mom enjoyed them the most. The times when she got to pretend she was the type of woman who got to place orders instead of filling them. "I'll take the filet mignon," she'd say with a haughty air, even when the only thing on the menu was overcooked steak tidbits on a stale heel of garlic bread. But that night, we weren't pretending. That night, Mom had a real audition for a role on a primetime TV show. I watched her smooth her dress over the gentle curves at her hips as I peeled back the wrapper of the chocolate bar and nibbled deliciously at the corner. When she was satisfied with her appearance, Mom turned to us, the smile that lit her face as bright as sunshine. "My girls, my beautiful twins." Maddie rolled her eyes and giggled.
"You know we aren't twins, Mama."
We were used to it, Maddie and I. Strangers were constantly mistaking us for twins. But Maddie was a year older than me, which felt like a lifetime back then, and she was always quick to correct them, to claim her rightful place as the oldest sister. I'd nod along wholeheartedly, as if I too needed the distinction, the degree of separation from my sister. But the truth was that I loved to think of us that way, as twins, as belonging to each other. I never tired of wearing her hand-me-downs, copying the way she stood with one hand propped on her hip. She was mine, and I was hers, two halves of a whole. Mom laughed as she spritzed a cloud of perfume. The misty droplets caught the light, sparkling as they fell. It reminded me of a winter frost.
"Never forget how lucky you are to have a sister, because that means that you'll never be alone in this world. You'll always have each other."
I felt her words wrap around me like a quilt. "Where are my favorite girls?" Dad called from the living room. It was the same thing he always said when he got back from one of his trips. I didn't understand where he went in those days. I just knew he drove a big truck and that sometimes he'd be gone for a really long time. And that when he came back, he'd have presents for Maddie and me. A cap from a truck stop in Iowa. A plastic palm tree from a corner store in California. Maddie and I collected the trinkets he offered us like treasures, displaying them proudly on a shelf in our room. "Viv, you're gonna be late."
"We're coming,"
Mom called back. She reached for our hands.
"Come along."
Dad was waiting in the living room with a spatula in his hand. I could tell from the charred scent hanging in the air that he'd burned the grilled cheese sandwiches he'd set out to make. But I knew it meant something that he'd tried. I couldn't remember him cooking anything for us before, and so I reminded myself not to complain.
"Are you three going to be okay on your own?"
Mom asked as she tucked her lipstick into her evening bag. "We'll be just fine," Dad replied. He knelt down between Maddie and me, pulling us close to him. I breathed in the woodsy smell of his aftershave as the rough stubble on his chin grazed my cheek. "Someday soon, you're gonna see your mama on the silver screen, her name in neon lights. She's going to be somebody." He made a frame with his hands and watched our mother through it, his eyes glittering with adoration. "Vivian Walker, the movie star." Mom laughed as she pulled open the front door.
"Wish me luck, my darlings."
The words were sent off with a kiss blown from her palm. It's one of the last memories I have of the four of us together. Happy. A family. That was before they were all gone. Before I was, too. Chapter 1. Alex. Welcome to the Hamptons. The old clapboard sign made of tastefully aged driftwood greets me, its white letters gleaming in the afternoon sun, as though they'd just been given a fresh coat of paint. I take in my surroundings as my old sedan rumbles down the main road that snakes lazily through the town. Much like the welcome sign, the town itself is a dichotomy of aged elegance and vibrant freshness. The stately colonial manors wear wood shingles weathered to the color of rust, edged with neat white trim, and they sit upon sprawling gardens of technicolor green lawns. Bushels of blooming hydrangeas appear lush and flourishing, despite the brutal summer heat. How the hell did my sister end up in a place like this? I don't know much about the Hamptons, other than the fact that it's a place where all the rich people in Manhattan retreat to escape the soaring urban temperatures.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?